Hey friends. I it's sort of mind-blowing to me how incredibly reliably the universe kind of affirms choices that we've made. And I think, one of the things about that is that the choices are affirmed whether they're the ones we want to make or not. We don't always choose what we want. We sometimes make decisions that either somehow compromise that, or we think it's the best we can get, but it's not really what we truly deeply desire. So we kind of halfway it, and the universe affirms that. I'm learning that with ever greater clarity and with ever greater kind of consistency, reliability. So the reason that this jumps, that thought has occurred to me today, and the reason why it's popping out of me is both because I'm seeing it both reflected in my creative work, and also, I found I found a poem that was given to me by a dear friend, Alan Jones, the man who baptized me, the man who married my parents, the man who also married me to my wife, me to Katie. He's been a spiritual figure and thought leader that I've sort of referenced throughout my entire life. And he sent me this, he gave me this poem. Last time he came in town, it was shortly after we'd moved into this house, because I did a post about this, actually. His wife completely rearranged our house and totally, she should see it now that Better Call Saul's got a hold of it. But anyway, he sent me this poem, and I looked at it when he gave it to me, and I actually read it when he gave it to me, but he gave it to me before I had this particular flash of insight into, what I'm doing is creative spirituality. This idea that creativity as a spiritual path, creativity as a spiritual practice, can be approached really directly, really deliberately, and really directly. And of course, the first kind of wave that came through after that was finding Chogyam Trungpa's book called True Perception. The subtitle was something like The Way of Dharma Art. It was like spiritual art. That's what so this book by this giant came into my awareness after I had already kind of declared to myself, made conscious to myself, that's what I'm doing. That's what this is about for me. Well, I found this poem kicking around my office just because I was doing some cleanup, and I find this poem, which is it's headed Austin Williams, former vicar of St. Martin's at Trafalgar Square, kept on his desk a handwritten copy of the poem Final Instructions. That's the name of the poem, Final Instructions, by his friend Cecil Day Lewis. It is about the artist, but it could almost equally well be about the priestly encounter with God. So it's a poem about art and an artist and the artistic, creative process, essentially, but it could equally well be about the priestly encounter with God. It could equally well be about a spiritual path. Boom. Now I get it. It's been a few months since I saw Alan, since he gave me this poem. But now I'm seeing, oh, that's what was going on here. There's something, this is, I wasn't maybe, but this is how the universe works. He gave it to me 2 or 3 months ago. I wasn't quite ready to zing with it yet. And then I got there, and I still had, and it literally just popped off of my bookshelf at me today and was like, look at me. I'm going to read it. It's a whole page, but I'm going to read it because it's beautiful, and it's a sentiment that is really hitting home to me right now. So it's called Final Instructions. For sacrifice, there are certain principles, few but essential. I do not mean your ritual. This you have learnt. The garland, the salt, a correct use of the knife, and what to do with the blood. Though it is worth reminding you that no two sacrifices ever turn out alike, not where this God is concerned. The celebrant's approach may be summed up in 3 words: patience, joy, disinterestedness. Remember, you do not sacrifice for your own glory or peace of mind. You are there to assist the clients and please the God. It goes without saying that only the best is good enough for the God. But the best, I must emphasize it, even your best, will by no means always be found acceptable. Do not be discouraged. Some lizard or passing cat may taste your sacrifice and bless the God. It will not be entirely wasted. But the crucial point is this: you are called only to make the sacrifice. Whether or not he enters into it is God's affair. And whatever the handbooks say, you can neither command his presence nor explain it. All you can do is make it possible. If the sacrifice catches fire of its own accord on the altar, well and good. But do not flatter yourself that discipline and devotion have wrought the miracle. They have only allowed it. So, luck is all I can wish you, or need wish you. And every time you prepare to lay yourself on the altar and offer again what you have to offer, remember, my son, these words: patience, joy, disinterestedness. Cecil Day Lewis, 1904 to 1972. I mean, what else? What else can I say? It's, yeah, especially the reason I found this sheet earlier in my day. I was here at the house all day, even though I could only be cooped up in my office. I was here working, and I found it, sometime in the early part of the day, and then proceeded to have a couple of really wonderful and also quite intense creative meetings and processes. And man, patience, joy, disinterestedness. Though, that's so much the non-attachment. That's what it is. It's the, be attached to your, how does Arjuna put it? Or what, I think it's in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna gets the instruction: don't be attached to your labor, but not the fruit of your labor. Make the sacrifice, right? Don't worry about whether God receives it or whether God likes it. Make the sacrifice. And that's a good reminder. That's a reminder that I needed today, because, it's every creative act And every creative process, if it involves more than one person, and there may even be a way that this is true even when it does involve only one, even when it's a completely self-contained creative action or process, but every creative relationship, certainly I've ever been in, but also every creative action or process involves power. It's inherent in the nature of relationship. And I feel like power is being unpacked nowadays in ways that are very illuminating, and I think that we are, as a culture, kind of evolving to a place where we're realizing that, kind of even just what power is, how it operates, how power operates, and that power is not as simple as it might have seemed to us 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. And power is also not we don't have to do what we might think we have to do to gain power. I think that's another thing that is gradually coming online, certainly in my awareness, but maybe also culturally in our awareness. We don't have to gain power by the means that we might think, or that we might have historically gained power, or have thought we should gain power, must gain power. And all of this comes on this comes on display. This comes online in a very tangible way in creative processes. And so there's this sense in which all we can ever do is offer what we have to offer with patience, joy, and disinterestedness. That's all we can do. Because at the end of the day, even if we have all the power, I mean, this is kind of where it comes home, I guess, to like an individual artist kind of thing. Even if we have all the power, that doesn't mean that the artwork or whatever it is we're creating will be received by the world. It's not. There's no way of guaranteeing that. There's simply no way to know. And in that way, a lone artist stands in relation to the world in the same way that a collaborating artist or a group of collaborating artists stand in relation to each other and then ultimately the world. There's no way to know whether, God will enter into it. Whether or not he enters into it is God's affair. And whatever the handbooks say, you can neither command his presence nor explain it. All you can do is make it possible. And that's really helpful for me to hear. Because it means, A, I'm doing my job. This is the job. Make it possible. And B, my priority can be on how I make the offering. Can I make it with patience? Yes, I can decide to be patient. Can I make it with joy? Yes, I can follow my joy. I can tap into the enthusiasm that's underlying the spirit that's underlying a creative moment, a process. And can I do it with disinterestedness? Can I give it up? Can I either give it up to the world in such a way that I'm offering it freely? And or can I give it up to my collaborators, people I'm working with? Can I say my piece and walk away? Not walk away in like a, removing myself from the process kind of way, but say my piece and leave it on the field kind of thing. Like say what I have to say, offer my offering, and then move on. Get on with life. Get on, not dwell on whether the thing that I offered had the effect that I thought it might or that I wanted it to. So, yeah, that's what's coming through today. But definitely find this poem. I'm sure it's online. Final Instructions by Cecil Day Lewis. And again, this came to me through a dear friend, Alan Jones, who has been a spiritual guide all my life. And clearly, he's still one step ahead of me because he gave me this before I even knew what it was. So, very cool to see that happening. But thanks for watching, people. Have a wonderful evening or day whenever you happen to be watching this video. I don't presume that you're going to watch it 10 seconds after I post it. I'm in Annalise's room because I've been booted out of the rest of the house. I might have said that at the beginning. Thanks for being with me. So much love. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.